every single.
Listen, let's not compare it to the NBA because I think NBA is number 2. But
Okay.
and football, NFL, you'll see somebody decapitate somebody and they'll get whistled for it, and it'll be the same thing.
Yeah, who, me?
But here's the point. Your point about the ball and my point about players not understand. Like they've got to walk the player back to get the player off the ball. And you're right. It's just, why do they let it go on? I like your solution, actually. The idea that if you don't get back within a certain period of time, you get some sort of penalty, whether it's a yellow or whether it's something else.
Short a player for that equivalent time, and you let the player know the clock's starting now as a referee.
Well, this is for the injured player, but I'm talking about the guy who's standing on the ball, because we see this. There's a dead ball, and you see that the team that's on the defense stands there until his defense lines up.
And it's usually the team losing.
Of course. Oh, no.
But it's usually...
You got me.
By the way, I wanted to let you know you made reference to extra time near the end of a game.
I love extra time.
How they're waiting for the ball to get out of the zone.
Yeah.
You're not on the field. On the field, the referee is actually given a 1 minute and a 30-second, and he's doing a countdown at the end of the game.
Have you ever seen?
The
ball is in the area. We get to 0. They call the game.
No, they're going to let that offensive play continue.
Right. They let the offense. I like the offense continue, not the offensive play.
But
the offensive play would have been when I played.
The pressure.
Any video of me playing. Actually, the video was not invented when I played. And if there were, they would destroy them. But they don't want the kids to see that. All right, what else drives you crazy about your favorite sport?
I think those are the big. I think the diving delays in the time.
How about the English accents on TV? Every time you go,
that makes it
the
sound
announcers.
Classy.
But isn't it also just a guy putting on a
fake? I love that stuff.
And the guy's from Los Angeles. How about the horns? What's with the horn sound? What about the weird soccer sound? What makes the weird soccer sound? I always thought there was a technical issue.
I'm not sure what you mean by the weird.
The crowd in a soccer game.
When you're watching a game, the drums and but when you're in a
but they don't. It doesn't follow the typical noise at sporting events where they get more excited and less excited.
Well, because they're chanting and singing pretty much the whole game, so it doesn't. The tone volume doesn't change that much unless there's a goal or something really.
You know what it is with Dave? This is what he doesn't understand. They're having fun. I know you hate that. You hate that more than you hate enjoyment.
Are there fireworks after?
On the 4th of July.
And I think it's great for soccer. I think all of that, the chanting, the drums, I think it results in a party atmosphere. And that's what they're trying to portray. That they're having a ball. They're only there for 2 hours. That's the other thing I do like about soccer. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it's over.
Right. We all like that it's over.
Yeah.
All right. Paul mentioned another one. That was from Paul, by the way. The English accents was from Paul. Here's another one. The rich get richer in soccer. You guys would know more about this than me. Obviously, it happens in baseball. I don't know if it really happens in football. I suppose it happens in soccer. Every so often you'll see it in the other sports, either basketball or hockey, where you've got just a franchise that just can't compete financially, so therefore can't compete on the field or on the rink or on the court. But what about soccer? Soccer, according to Paul, the rich get richer in soccer and always dominate.
Oh yeah, you have your top 4 to 6 clubs in every league. Yeah, they have all the money. It's no different than the Sox and Yankees and Dodgers and Cubs. You know, but what I like about MLS is there is parity. So that's why you have different teams winning all the time, and it's not
why is there parity in the MLS?
Because of the salary cap and so on, which these other leagues don't have. You know, there's a salary cap. You can only spend so much money exactly.
Okay,
shared revenue.
Yeah, and shared revenue. So
I mean, baseball's got that whole luxury tax that nobody understands, and it's like the NBA. It's like the NBA salary cap.
Well, what that does, that keeps teams like Pittsburgh and Tampa and all these other teams afloat, the luxury tax, because it goes to them. It's actually, sometimes it can work as a disincentive to try to improve your team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a cash cow team like Tampa that spends, $40 million a year compared to $160 million with the Red Sox?
Right.
And they're making money.
Yeah.
Even though they have half the stands, they're making money. That's a different kind of parity. It's not a player parity; it's a cash parity.
Yeah,
that's different in MLS, where it's a player parity with the salary cap.
Although MLS has become, when you talk about confusion, because you have the designated player, but now you have what's called TAM money, T-A-M.
Oh, what is TAM money?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
And then there's GAM money, G-A-M.
Oh, that's if you got nice legs.
That's glam. That's glam money. That's different.
So the TAM money is more valuable than the GAM money, and you can sign someone to a TAM contract, which is somewhere between a designated player contract and a regular.
I figured it. I figured it out. I figured it out. It means the players are being paid in cryptocurrency.
Oh boy, here we go.
So it's it's like all the financial rules in a lot of the leagues now. You can't understand. That's why all these teams need lawyers.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's layer upon layer upon layer. But one thing about this MLS is it's centralized, right? I mean, basically they've got rules about the rules that everyone's got to be kind of within certain parameters, and you can't, if you're Bob Kraft, you can't just go out and outspend everybody if you had that interest.
You can, because of the designated players. They don't count against your salary. So that's like what teams like the LA Galaxy and Toronto have done, because they can sign these, or they choose to sign these. Now the Revs didn't have any designated players until just a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And they hit on their designated players because all three of them are good. If you don't hit on your designated players,
then you get designated albatrosses.
Yep, you're screwed.
Okay. Well, and a lot of teams fail, right? I mean, they get somebody who's a superstar, but they don't want to play on hard surfaces, artificial surfaces.
Those were that was Thierry Henry, because he was at the end of his career and he wouldn't play on the turf. Yeah, there were a couple of those guys. Yeah, there were a few of those guys, but the league has moved beyond those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the rich get richer in Europe.
Absolutely.
And that's not good, or is it good?
I guess it depends on who you're a fan of. But what they have in Europe is promotion relegation. So the lower teams, so there's layer upon layer of leagues. All right. So you have the EPL, then you have the Championship League. Yep. So the teams that finish in the first place in the Championship League, second and third and fourth place, I think, go into a playoff with the bottom four teams of the Premier League. So they can move up. So even though they're bottom dwellers every year, they're playing for something.
Okay.
As opposed to watching the Kansas City Royals and Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles play for nothing by May. So there's the promotion relegation, which is great, which will never happen in this country. It would be great if it did, but it's not going to happen.
Not enough players, not enough layers like they have.
And the owners, too, are never going to do that. Yeah, never going to do it.
By the way, I think one of the coach made a great point with TAM and GAM. We need that for another show.
And I should mention this. The reason that we're calling him coach is just because we have two Daves, and we don't want to confuse. We don't call him coach out of respect. We don't call him coach. We don't call him coach for any reason other than just to differentiate.
And he reminds us of Coach from Cheers.
He did. Oh, he's at least a year younger than Coach from Cheers.
Hey, I already did the Rodney Dangerfield in class today with my tie saying, hey, I don't get any respect.
Oh, really?
I already used that one in class today. Yeah.
Wow.
Because they don't get it.
I was going to say, that's an entire classroom of students looking at you and going, who? Who? Rodney Dangerfield?
Oh, they think it's original. They think it's a riot.
So he's been doing his Mae West and his W.C. Fields.
Every couple decades, it all comes around, right? It's all new.
Next week, he's got a Charlie Chaplin thing he's planning.
Still coaching history? Are you a history teacher?
English.
English.
Yeah.
Boy, he came to the right place with you here, Dave.
I know.
He can correct you at all.
Oh, listen, I got to tell you this. It's interesting because you listened to our last podcast, right? Last night?
Yep.
And I was thinking that we could invite people to do a drinking game, but I don't think we could. All the times that I called them out for being what's the word? What's the word that I was calling you out for?
Last week?
Yeah.
Oh, condescending.
Condescending. Yeah, condescending. And I think if you could drink a shot every time, how many times if you had played a drinking game with our last podcast, how drunk would the person be at the end of it?
Oh, I don't think and they'd be drunk at all.
You don't think they'd be drunk?
I don't think that every time I correct you is necessarily condescending. If I weren't right, then it might be condescending. But I'm just trying to help.
And I
thought that's what you called me in here for, to help.
Dale said he listened to the last podcast and he recommends you get drunk before you listen to the podcast.
Hey! That's what I was on.
And by the way, I've never known a soccer coach in my history, either being playing for or myself, that isn't condescending in some way or another. And that's mainly to parents.
Nice segue. Nice segue.
That's why I did it.
Speaking of parents and fans, and I got to include fans because one of my fondest soccer memories from the MLS, Dave, was when you and I went to games. Dave's been a New England Revolution season ticket holder from the start, and we used to go to games, and I remember here's Taylor Twellman toward the end of his career. He's playing for the Revs, and he was a great player for the Revs, and I think he was the reason. They had a good team, but he could score, and he was the reason that they would get to the finals almost every season for how many years in a row? 4 years in a row?
4 years in a row, yeah.
But he had was on his 9 millionth concussion, and I remember we're at a game, and I'm listening to all these experts around us yelling about how he didn't have any guts, and he had to get in there, Twellman, you don't have any guts, or whatever version of that you want to say. They probably didn't say quite that genteelly. And I thought to myself, what great advice from these experts that I'm surrounded with. And I know that as coaches, people love to yell stuff from the stands, from the sidelines, and they should really. I'm of the opinion that I don't think I've ever heard anything shouted from the sidelines or the stands other than "Go get 'em, guys, go get 'em, gals,
kick it,
go get 'em." What I hear is kick it. And I hear, run, which is very helpful, actually, because I can't tell you how many times when I was playing, I would get the ball near my feet, and I'd be like, what am I going to do next? But
there's very limited options. You're right. There really is.
There were very limited options. But
dribble, Dave. But dribble, like on your shirt earlier.
Dribble. Yeah, exactly. Dribble. I would have been confused. I would have been totally confused.
His dribbling on the soccer field would have been about as
good as his shirt today. Yeah.
It worked quite well.
Listen.
Thank God our producer has a dryer. That's all we're going to say.
I know. Just to explain, our producer was nice enough. I had my cup of coffee, and I had one of, every time I get one of these to-go cups, there's always like a dribble glass element to it. So I got a little coffee on my sweater. So
we were all thinking small stroke, to be honest with you.
Dale was nice enough to throw it in his dryer, as opposed to my plan, which would have been to throw it away and buy a new sweater. So...
Well, when Dave was told to dribble, he got confused and would drool.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah,
that's a joke we were making.
Coach has been around. Just want to let you know, Coach has been around a long time. Just like Cheers. You see, we told you.
So my point is, in any sport that I've seen it work against teams way more than I see it work for teams, because you either have that parent or fan from the stands who's yelling horrible advice, or they're yelling it slow. It's too slow. The example that I always think of is in baseball, when the person in the outfielder grabs the ball, he's already throwing to the base, and they yell which base they should throw it to, and nobody does it in real time. And then the other example that I think of is when the ball's in the infield, and if you can hear people, you're hearing a bunch of voices at one time, and you should be listening to one voice. You should be listening to the catcher or one of the teammates, telling you where to throw the ball. And I just hear so much silly nonsense that comes out of the stands. And I'm sure that you guys, as coaches, have gotten a lot of advice. And we're going to end with the advice that people should yell from the stands. But let's start about the stuff that's been yelled at you. Do you hear what's yelled from the stands?
No, I don't pay any attention.
You don't pay any attention?
I really don't.
You
I used
say
to,
that.
but I don't pay any attention.
What do they used to say?
Oh, well, again, all the stuff
Coach, your flyers open?
See, you can block that out. See, that's good.
He can block it out now. He can block it out now because his hearing's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what can you think of that was yelled at you? Was there anything consistently that you used to hear from the stands at any of the plays you've coached, any levels, either one of you, that you want to share with us that really wasn't helpful?
I got a real good one, and I think you'll appreciate this. So we're playing a town team. It was a big deal when a Catholic school plays a town team. You know how that's always a big deal. And we were winning. It was actually 1-1 late in the game, and there was a penalty kick. And my goalie, who had saved 200 shots that game, had a pretty good practice. And I just, on a whim, said, go take the penalty shot at the end of the game. Goalie goes down, takes the penalty kick, and he misses the net.